Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Vania Chan Music. Today we're featuring renowned composer Alice Ping Yee Ho. I first met Alice when I auditioned for her opera, The Lesson of Thatsi, which was produced by Toronto Mask Theatre. Since then, I have had the great fortune of continuously collaborating with her on many new and exciting projects. Alice is very accomplished, considered one of the most acclaimed composers writing in Canada today. Just to name a few of her accomplishments, she has won the 2019 Joanna Metcalf Performing Arts Prize, the 2016 Louis Applebaum Composers Award, the 2014 Prince Edward Island Symphony Composers Competition, and the 2013 Dora Mavermore Award for Outstanding Original Opera for her work, The Lesson of Thatsi, which I consider myself very lucky to have been a part of. So thank you so much for being here, Alice. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Vania. Yes, thank you for inviting me to your channel. Pleasure.
So let's start this interview off and give our viewers a chance to get to know you. First off, how did you get into music and what's your musical background?
My introduction to music, of course, starts from childhood. I was born in Hong Kong, and when I was very young, I took ballet lesson. And it happened, the accompanist for the ballet class is the husband of the ballet teacher. And he said, oh, well, maybe you should take piano lesson as well. So I took a piano lesson with him, and that's how I started with my music training. So when I was young, I have a lot of Tchaikovsky.
Oh, yeah.
Rimsky-Korsakov, yeah. All this heavy ballet music. And of course, you know, I'm classically trained as a pianist.
Composer. So how did you get into composition?
The interest for me to pursue my career as a composer actually started way back when I am doing my bachelor degree at Indiana University in the States. I started out as a piano major. And for all the piano major, they have to take a minor. So I have a choice whether I take conducting or composition. I think I'm really interested to find out how composers compose. So I supposed to take a class in composition, but accidentally, I asked Professor John Eaton, who was a very well-known microtonal composer in the States.
Okay.
He didn't know I wasn't even a composer major, and he took me by mistake. So after a few lessons, I was very inspired, and he was really supportive. At first, he didn't know I have no background in writing, so he would ask me to write something very basic, like something non-harmonic, like a duet and things. But after a few lessons, he thought I have some potential, and I'm very enthusiastic to continue my lessons. And at the same time, I was quite discouraged in my study as a pianist, because at Indiana University, there are 5,000 students there, and so many fantastic performers, pianists, and I felt I have to work. Even I work very hard, I won't make it as maybe a concert pianist. So at the same time, my interest grow in composition. So I pursue a composition degree at the end. And then I met my husband at Indiana. He was doing his PhD while I was doing my bachelor degree. And later we got married, and then I married Canadian. So I follow him to Toronto, and I pursue my master study at University of Toronto with a study with John Beckwith, and finish my master degree. So a long story.
That's great. How would you describe your compositional style?
Basically, I love tonality and colors. I mean, I think my style could be quite eclectic. I love all kinds of genre, from experimental to even popular music. I think all kinds of music has a beautiful composition. I think I really have a keen tendency towards tonalities too, because I think there's something connect to the audience in a very basic way. Although I have in my closet, I have pieces which is totally no tonality and just sound effects and stuff like that. But I think there's another aspect I like to explore, of course, is the culture aspect. I'm into a lot of things, and in the last 10 years, I'm very fortunate that I have opportunity to work with a lot of Chinese musicians, and a lot of organizations start to take an interest in my cultural background, and they want me to write something involve Chinese instruments, and then I start to learn and discover my own heritage, and this is quite valuable. I continue that path, and I think in a lot of my upcoming projects too, my most the newest project we should talk about it is China Chan, and another big opera commission that I have to look into all of the history and family heritage. That's everything is a learning process for me, and I'm glad I'm living in Toronto and Canada, that getting to know you and many other musicians.
And you know that I'm a big fan of your style and of your compositional style. Do you have a favorite composer or someone that you're influenced by?
I think I have several favorite composers. My most inspiring experience, I think, when I was much younger, when I was studying in the States at Indiana. The first winter I was there, I never see snow before in my life. I came from Hong Kong, and I was in the library just listening to recordings, and I happened to listen to Ravel's Piano Concerto G Major, the second movement, and I was really shocked. I mean, how could anything be so beautiful? And go with the when I look at outside the windows, all these snowflakes and it's just one of the moment in my life that perhaps inspired me as a composer. With tonality, simplicity, color, and elegance, all of the above. And so Ravel is one of my favorite composer, and I also like Bach and Samuel Barber, and even some of the more avant-garde artists, like I am a fan of Yoko Ono, a big fan. She's a great songwriter and amazing, so creative, one of the most creative person in the world.
If you could pick a favorite performance moment of one of your compositions from your career so far, which one would it be?
And there are many moments. Sometimes I think as a composer, most gratifying moment would be audience reaction. And of course, the most important thing is how the performers take your music so seriously and they elevate your composition to a level that you would dream of. But I think I would say one of the most memorable moment would be the premiere of the Lesson of Da Ji. I think in a way, this is the first genre. I think writing opera is still new to me. I've been, writing concert music for a long time, but opera just maybe, within the last 10 years. And this is the first time I see the composition realized on stage, beautiful staging and wonderful costume, and the singers are just fantastic. And so this is one of the moment I felt I'm so lucky to live to see that happen.
So let's talk about the piece that we've featured in this video, Spring. Can you tell us what this piece is about and what made you write this piece of music?
Yes, actually, this is a very special piece for me. So the piece was commissioned by director, playwright Peter Hinton. I think it's year 2016. He has a new play called The End. The play actually commemorates the centenary of the end of the Great War, World War I. And it explores the intimate relationship of a World War I soldier. He's Canadian, Wilfred Owen, who was a well-known, also a poet. and through his letters exchanged between himself and his mother Susan. So it's a very moving play. And I'm very lucky. The text of Springs is actually by a British poet, Charlotte Mew. Mm-hmm. And the song appears late in the play, I think maybe the last song, and it's for Susan, sung by Susan. I think I like to say a few words about, quoting from the director, Peter Hinton's description. Mm-hmm. He said, having read the worst of what her son has survived, and knowing that despite his aversion to war and treatment in a mental hospital for a shell shock, that he's determined to return to no man's land. And Susan remembers the optimism of the past when people sincerely believed the war would be over by Christmas in 1914 and in 1915. For Charlotte Mew and Susan, spring is the great healer, and its irony is a bitter comfort by 1918 when she sings the song. So it's a beautiful description. Yeah. And I wanted to say something about the poet Charlotte Mew, and she's quite a well-known British poetess, but she has a rather tragic life. She deals with depression and transgression life, and she actually took her own life in 1928. So for me, her voice is linked to Owen's own love of nature and explore sexuality. She strikes me as an aid voice for Susan in many ways. The two women, while in opposite in manner and life, are terribly alike in temperament. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's many levels to the piece.
Yeah. What upcoming projects do you have that you'd like to share with us?
There are a number of projects on my plate, and I think the biggest project I have now is commissioned by Vancouver City Opera. The title is Chinatown, with the renowned Canadian award-winning writer Valentina Sadovski. What's so special to me about this opera is it covers three generations about Chinese immigrants in the early turn of the century in Vancouver. It's about neighborhoods, about family. I think the most important thing is about love, but it's a kind, not only romantic love, it's love of everything. A father, sisters, friendship. And also, touch on the history about racism, which is, still an ongoing issue all the time, and and the resilience and strength, for Chinese immigrant to endure, and so this is a very moving project, and then I'm a big fan of Madeline. I have read her books, and this is one of her first opera too. The other unusual thing, which is a great challenge to me, is the text. I think more than half is set in Hoi-Sanese. I think in Cantonese is Toi Sanhua, Hoi-Sanese, which is another southern dialect. It's not Cantonese nor Mandarin. It's a dialogue which the early Chinese immigrant, when they first come to North America, they speak that kind of dialect, because most of them are peasants, are workers. They dig and they do the mining, and I work with a very fantastic writer too, Paul Yee. He's an expert. He speaks Hoisan and he translates the text. So this is I don't speak Hoisanese a word. So this is the first time I said another dialect extensively into music. Actually, I found the dialect is so musical and so unusual. I really believe the outcome will be something so fresh to the audience. And and I think it would be a great challenge to singers.
To quick fire questions. So I'm just going to ask you some questions, and I want you to answer with the first thing or preference that comes to mind. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Do you prefer the city life or the country life?
Both.
Books or movies?
Rupees.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Name a country or place that you haven't been to before but would love to visit.
Iceland.
Which flavor do you prefer? Chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry?
Chocolate.
Name one famous person you would love to meet. It can be someone currently living or someone from the past.
Yoko Ono again.
Okay, Yoko Ono. Mountain climbing or skydiving?
No, I'm scared. I think you will have to choose. You will have to choose maybe skydiving then.
If you could transform into any animal, what would it be?
I guess a horse.
What's your favorite dessert?
Chocolate cake.
Let's move on to pics from the past. Tell me if you remember where and when this photo was taken.
That was the summer of 2019, Toronto Summer Music. And we have a concert together.
Silk Road, then and now.
So it was a great concert. We got to work together, sing some folk songs, and you also sing one aria with the pipa virtuoso Vania Chan.
Yes.
It's a great event.
And let's move on to pic number 2.
So that was the city launch of the recording of the lesson of Daji at the Canadian Music Center. So it's a great event, and I'm so lucky. Center Disc released the record, and it's actually we received a critic choice review from New York Opera soon afterwards. It's just such a great honor. So that was a launch event hosted by Center Disc, and so you are singing one aria again with the pipa Vania Chan and Marion Newman. She also sang and that's the very back with in the photo.
And then pic number 3. Let's just finish it off there with the last photo.
I think that may be 2013.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That is Asian Heritage Month gala concert at the Beta Shoes Museum.
Yes.
And so I arranged an entire longer excerpt for you to sing with myself and my husband, composer Chen Kanin. Excerpts from Lesson of Daji. So keyboard and guitar. And it was fun.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it's been wonderful having so many opportunities to work with you and collaborate with you, and I'm glad that we're still friends now and still working on making new music together. So very grateful for that. And with that, we've come to the end of our interview. Thank you so much, Alice, for being here today. I'm very much looking forward to our upcoming projects together. To our viewers, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, say hello in the comments down below, and please support us by subscribing to our channels, Vania Chan Music and Alice Ping Yee Ho. I'll leave our YouTube, website, and social media links in the description down below. Hit that notification icon so you'll know when a new video is uploaded. Until next time, keep smiling and keep a song in your heart. Bye for now.
Thank you.